Man, I'm probably gonna be in the fucking minority on this one, but I gotta say right off the bat, even by the standards of Rob fucking Zombie, this is some especially stupid fucking shit. Rob Zombie, 90s shock rock, hippie, and chaotic heavy metal party monster, is back with a brand new studio album entitled, and I shit you not, The Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy. Normally when I review an album for the Metal Meltdown, I really try to dissect and analyze it. I look at it not as yet another collection of guitar solos and riffs, I look at it as a legitimate body of work. I look at the compositions on the record, I look at the production value, I look at individual performances and lyrics, I look at how it all comes together, I look at what might have inspired the record. Was it something in the artist's personal life? Was it something political? Was it something spiritual? Was it something else entirely? And believe it or not, I mean that in the nicest possible way. I mean, it's Rob Zombie. He has never made the most intelligent or progressive or thought-provoking material. It has consistently been party music. So as a result, the way I look specifically at a Rob Zombie album is, if I was at a party and this is playing, would I have a good time? And while in the past I have mostly enjoyed a Rob Zombie party, this time around, I'm just not feeling it. I think I've officially reached the point where I am just so done with Rob Zombie's antics. I'm done with the way he produces his records. I'm done with the way he presents himself. These parties, they were fine in the late 90s, you know, Hellbilly Deluxe was great, the White Zombie stuff was great, and you know, I enjoyed a brief return to this sound in the 2010s with like Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor, but right now, I'm like in my late 20s, and I feel like I've been to this party like every fucking week, and I'm done with it. This album, more than any other Rob Zombie album I can think of, is just so fucking goofy, to the point of being genuinely kinda cringeworthy in some parts. Filled to the brim with nonsensical lyrics and samples and beats and entire sections of songs that go absolutely nowhere and exist only to make the song objectively weirder. The opening number, Triumph of King Freak, is a fantastic example of everything I'm fucking talking about. It's really just samples, synths, and spooky shit galore. I mean, there are a lot of weird sound and guitar effects across this song that don't really mean anything. There's a particularly odd kind of sample that repeats in the background for no reason whatsoever. It's just some dude going, witchcraft, devil worship, witchcraft, devil worship. Why is it there? I assume it's because Rob Zombie still thinks that he can, like, scare people or piss them off in 2021. He really can't, but nice try, I guess. There are a few bursts of, like, funk rock guitar and bass that almost feels like it could have been pulled from, like, some of the very early Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff. And sandwiched in between these bursts is, like, a really weird Run the Jewels style hip-hop beat that transitions into a seriously lame fucking breakdown. Speaking of, my god, is the main riff on this fucking lame as shit, or what? The guitar work from here on is, to John Five's credit, a little bit better. He actually does have some pretty tasty fucking licks in the track, The Ballad of Sleazy Rider. But those licks aren't really enough to save the track from Rob Zombie's brand of fucking insanity. I mean, this really does sound like biker rock written by, like, a homeless fucking wizard. At one point, he starts ranting as if he's speaking in tongues or reciting some kind of spell over and over, going, Ram-a-lam-a-lam-a-loo, Ram-a-lam-a-long. I'm well aware that Rob Zombie's music is typically filled with literal fucking gibberish, but it was especially irritating on this album and on this particular track. There are some songs that show some legitimate potential at first. 18th Century Cannibals, for instance, has a very odd but not entirely unwelcome kind of outlaw country flair to it, while Eternal Struggles of the Howling Man is a lot more energetic than most of the plodding, mid-paced kind of party rock on this record. It has a genuine urgency to it that kind of gets me pumped up. But unfortunately, both of these tracks fall apart very fucking quickly. In the case of 18th Century Cannibals, it just grows to be really goofy and repetitive and downright awkward as it begins to introduce some heavier riffs that create a very glaring and ugly fucking contrast. Whereas Eternal Struggles just completely loses its focus altogether. It is easily distracted by a brief flirtation with like this kind of groove-laden Black Sabbath riffery and a section that, for lack of a better term, feels like it's been pulled out of a porno from the late 70s. And honestly, there's a lot of material on here that's just downright fucking boring. I mean, Crow Killer Blues is perhaps one of the most unenthusiastic and unoriginal cuts that Rob Zombie has ever given to us, and the interludes especially don't really seem to add anything to the record. It's really just a bunch of sci-fi and horror noise for the sake of sci-fi and horror noise. It got so fucking boring that I found myself skipping every single interlude on my second playthrough of this album. And then you've got Shake Your Ass, Smoke Your Grass, which is hands down the dumbest and most cringeworthy thing that Rob Zombie has ever fucking put to tape. And by the way, I'm including his movies when I say that. I will happily watch Lords of Salem over and over and over again for weeks on end if it means that I never have to hear this stupid piece of fucking dribble ever again. There are a few songs that I like. For instance, the Satanic Rites of Blackula has kind of a really catchy, old-school pop rock, horror punk kind of fusion thing going on. It feels like the Kinks and the Misfits kind of rolled into a dough ball and then deep-fried in some classic industrial rock. Then there's Boom Boom Boom, which, despite its remarkably stupid title, is actually a pretty atmospheric and ominous kind of number. It feels like something pulled from like a sci-fi western movie. I mean, let's be clear, these tracks are still pretty stupid, but they're fun stupid. I mean, most of the album is like Suicide Squad, and these two tracks are Batman and Robin. But let's be honest here, 2 good songs out of 17 tracks in total is not enough to save the entire album. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure if you got 2 out of 17 on a test, your dad would be giving you less of a pat on the back and more of a belt across the ass. I'm honestly gonna give this a 1 out of 5. I just do not like this album at all. I think it is an utterly ridiculous, overproduced, cringeworthy mess. It is some of Rob Zombie's worst songwriting, some of his worst lyrics, if we can even call them that. There are so many samples and so many beats and so many distractions, for lack of a better way of putting it, that nothing actually ever feels focused. It doesn't really feel like we even have 17 songs. It feels like we have 40 different songs that have been cram-packed into 17 songs, making for ultimately a very clumsy kind of experience. One that, again, cannot be saved by a few kind of decent guitar riffs and a few kind of decent songs. It just can't. I am certain that Rob Zombie fanatics all over the world are going to fall in love with this fucking album because it's weird and it's zany and it's spooky and it's so crazy, and good for you. Honestly, I'm so fucking happy for you. I am so fucking happy that you are having a ball at this particular party. I'm not. It really is just that fucking simple. Like, if I went to a party and just found a bunch of dudes screaming under a bunch of neon lights, I'd probably fucking leave. But hey, if that's your kind of thing, more power to you, I suppose. I stand on what I said before, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is Rob Zombie's dumbest and most cringeworthy record yet, and quite possibly his worst album to date with any project. 1 out of 5. I'm probably going to be in minority on this, but fuck it. I think it's fucking terrible. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Don't forget, we will be streaming a live St. Patrick's Day party and Super Smash Bros. Tournament right here from the Metal Meltdown HQ next week, Wednesday, March 17th. There's a link in the description if you want more details. Make sure you press this button to subscribe if you haven't already, so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have yourselves a fantastic fucking day.